What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in to Late Hoops. Today's video, we're going to be reacting to your guys' hot takes. We're going to start with what you read in the title. And the first hot take is that ever since Tatum entered the league, he has had the second most help in the league, first being Kevin Durant. I think this is a simple but really solid hot take. Aside from Kevin Durant through his manufacturing free agency and trade requests, you know, him pairing up with Harden and Kai in Brooklyn, and then his stint in Phoenix, obviously what he's done in Oklahoma City, even with Russell and James, and then in the Golden State Warriors, you know, he has Steph, Clay, Dre, even Boogie Cousins was there for a little bit. It's really interesting because Jason Tatum was drafted by the Celtics, but when he was drafted by the Celtics, he was drafted just after Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart. Kyrie Irving was there for a little while. Gordon Hayward was there for a little while. Other notable names like Robert Williams, Kemba Walker, Al Horford. These are all all-star level players. Some of them you could even dub superstar players. Jason Tatum has had a ton of help, and honestly he has done really great in the playoffs other than making and winning an NBA Finals. He made that appearance 2 seasons ago against the Warriors, but fell short-handed with a not so great performance. But I think that this take is so important because he's had that much help and he's had that many great teams. And honestly, help isn't defined just by teams, but also front office management and the head coaching staff. And he has had amazing head coaches in Brad Stevens, Ime Udoka, Joe Mazzulla has been great this last season. He was kind of a little shaky in the postseason, but I digress. And then Danny Ainge in the front office. I mean, can you really ask for more? Really great hot take here. The second one comes, it's kind of a three-parter from Captain Swagalicious 9354. He says, another disappointing year for the Sixers. CP3 is going to curse the Warriors to not win again and trade LeBron. I think trading LeBron would be interesting because you would do so in maybe the hopes of getting back some future assets. I'm going to focus mostly on the CP3 is going to curse the Warriors thing. I would assume you mean just in general because most of these teams Chris goes to, he makes them a lot better, and then in the postseason they fizzle out. I think it's going to be a really hard season for the Golden State Warriors this year. However, if Draymond resigns, I honestly think that they could make the NBA Finals, or at least the Western Conference Finals. It's hard when you have a dynasty to define success, but I digress. I really, I'm not going to say that CP is going to curse them because I think outside of Chris Paul, they still have a championship roster. The third hot take from Paprika Finesser is one that I actually think is a really good hot take. Houston is going to make the playoffs. I made an entire video talking about this, whether or not they were going to make the playoffs, make the postseason. I think they have a really strong shot at winning 35 to 40 games, which would put them into the play-in conversation out west. It's obviously it's the Wild Wild West for a reason. But I think with the possible additions of Jaylen Brown or Fred VanVleet, James Harden, we just got some news today that teams are going to be working to trade him for a 1-year rental because he did opt into that contract. I think the Houston Rockets, they had an amazing draft with Cam Whitmore, and they ended up getting Amon Thompson at the 4th overall pick. It's going to be a really great and fun year for Houston under the new head coach, and I'm really stoked to just see kind of what they do with the Jalen Green and Amon Thompson and KPJ dynamic. We got a lot of the guys playing the same position, and someone's going to have to step up and be that primary playmaker, so I'm really interested to see that. I'm going to group all of these together. The 76ers have more of a chance of winning from the Suns. Before this morning, I would agree with that. I feel like depth ultimately wins you games in the postseason, and even though they didn't look too great this last postseason, I think with James, if they retooled the roster a little bit, maybe they would have been pretty good. But now all these takes are pretty much reading that the 76ers are going to make the Eastern Conference Finals, or the 76ers are going to go to the NBA Finals. James is opting into his contract, and the Sixers are working on ways to get him traded. So I can't say that they're going to make the NBA Finals if James is not there, unless they were to get a really crazy package back in return. I'm not sure. I do have to applaud James for opting in to, leave Philly with some assets, that he's not just walking in free agency, but I digress. I don't think Philly's going to do anything this offseason. And also, I'll touch on that Bucks aren't going to be that good take that I forgot to mention when I put that on the screen. I think the Bucks are actually going to be really good next season. I think Giannis is still at the peak of his career. They just need to retain Chris and Brooke, hopefully Chris for less than $40 million a season. If they can do so, I think the Bucks are going to be just fine. The next hot take is from Isaiah Henry, and he says that the Pacers get themselves a shooter and they will finish top 5 in the East. They do have that in Buddy Hield, but I think maybe a power forward that could shoot the ball would be very interesting to pair along Miles Turner, because he's a great shooter. I think a lot of people forget that before the injury to Tyrese Halliburton, this Pacers team was really exciting, and they were like I want to say a 7 or 6 seed definitely this year. And if the Brooklyn Nets don't have the amazing start that they do with Kyrie and Kevin this season, who knows if it's them or the Pacers at that 6 seed, or maybe the Bulls or someone like that. I think the Pacers are going to shock a lot of people next year, and I think they're going to be really great. Not great like you make plays in the postseason and make a run in the postseason, but great enough to, make the postseason. Speaking of postseason, the next take comes from Hellboy, and he says that the Miami Heat are a team that is coached exceptionally well, but both runs to the finals were where everything just broke in Miami's favor. I do not expect them to pass this conference semifinals coming up. I think this is an interesting take because you always have to play the team in front of you. You can't knock Miami for beating the wounded Bucks or the wounded Knicks or the weak mental Celtics. I think Miami's a really great team, but I think we can all agree that these runs that they've had, they're interesting to interpret, and that's for sure. I don't know how many times they can make the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals, and we can sit here and say, it's a fluke, or, they only beat people because they were hurt. Because in 2020, that wasn't a fluke. They were a very great basketball team. I think if Tyler Hero was there this postseason, or maybe they had another ball handler or shot creator, it'd be very interesting. But I am unfortunately going to have to agree with this. I don't think they're going to make it past the semis next year. Next take comes from Atlas7928, and he says that the Celtics and Clippers are going to face off in the finals next year if healthy. If not, in the West, swap out the Nuggets for the Clippers. Very great take here. I feel like I don't have to spend too much time on this. If the Clippers are healthy, I can't see them not making the finals. The Celtics, they're going to have to get something to work this postseason, and with Kristaps Porzingis, I think they may be the favorites coming out of the Eastern Conference, so that's going to be really interesting to watch. And I'm going to pair these two takes together because I think they kind of somewhat go hand in hand. They say the Oklahoma City Thunder will make the conference finals, and Chet Holmgren will win Rookie of the Year over Scoot and Wemby. I think this is a super interesting take because if Chet plays at such an exponential level that he's winning the Rookie of the Year over two of the top ranked prospects we've seen in a very long time, I think that the Oklahoma City really can make a run in the postseason. It's going to be really interesting to see how Chet and Shea play together. I think Shea is just kind of blew everyone's expectations out of the water, kind of like how I think Devin Vassell this season is going to do with Wemby. He's going to blow a lot of people's minds. I mean, if you watch San Antonio basketball, you know how great Devin is, but I digress. I think these are both really great takes. Maybe semifinals. I feel like the Oklahoma City Thunder got to focus on just winning the first round before they focus on making the conference finals, but that's just me. One of the final takes, the Atlanta Hawks will win the title and Trae Young will win finals MVP. I can't really see this happening. If they did win the title, Trae would for sure be the finals MVP. After them getting rid of John for absolutely nothing, I'm interested to see what their free agency unit looks like. They clearly wanted to, free up a bunch of cap. Maybe they know something we don't. As the team stands right now with DeJounte and Onyeka Okongwu and Trae Young and just a bunch of other amazing young talent, I think this team's still a couple pieces and a couple years away from being real contenders. Then finally, I had to save the best take for last. Jonathan Kuminga will become one of the greatest players of all time by having a breakout year in which he wins MVP, DPOY, Most Improved Player, NBA Championship, Finals MVP, averages 44, 15, 7 with 4 blocks and 3 steals. He will lead the Warriors to an 82-0 record and will solve world hunger and eliminate any conflict between nations single-handedly. This is all very true. Believe everything you read in this comment and make sure that you guys pin this to your Twitter banners, Instagram banners, whatever you want. This is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But what do you guys think? Did you enjoy this video? Was your hot take in it? If it was, thank you so much for leaving your guys' hot takes. I'm really excited. Free agencies tomorrow. I do got work, so if any big moves happen, I'll probably, when I get home, post a video on them. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay happy, healthy, and blessed. Peace.